Having grown up in Germany, I realized that parents, teachers, and just counselors in general emphasizes so much in getting a university degree after school. Now, I understand that this is quite important and it's quite promising as well. But living in Germany, you need to understand that there is so many other ways to get success, and it depends on how you define it. Now, one of these ways is through the German vocational training program called Ausbildung. On today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys reasons why Ausbildung is better than a master's degree. Hi lovies, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If today is your first time seeing my face, my name is Success, Nigerian by birth, German by registration, hence Nigerian German, and you're watching my diary on YouTube. Now, I've watched so many people struggle to get their degrees. So you do like a bachelor degree for 3 years, then you do a master's on top for 2 years, then you come out of university with a 5 years degree. So you have a bachelor degree and then a master's degree that took you 5 years to achieve. Now, I'm not saying with this degree you cannot move forward or earn a living in Germany. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is there is also a way to get what you want without too much stress and with lesser money, no stress, no tuition fee, no, oh, I was stressed out, I don't have experience after the work, or I'm searching for a job after my studies. It makes so much sense to build your career gradually. And then you also need to understand the job market in Germany. Germans value experience. German would take someone that has a vocational training program, which also took 3 years, and a 2 years experience in the job, on the job, above someone that has a bachelor degree and a master's degree. It's just fact. Now, if you have a university degree, it comes in handy when you have higher positions that need this degree. Sometimes it's placed as a requirement. But you also need to understand, on top of these requirements, you need work experience. So why not get work experience, then build your degree on top of your work experience? To me, it makes more sense because then you're already in the job market space. You understand how everything works and you can build success from there. Now, I know I've mentioned some few points from what I already said, but I want to highlight reasons why I personally think an Ausbildung is better than any university degree if you are just getting into your career in Germany. Now, when you're doing an Ausbildung, you earn while learning. So you're going to be getting paid by the company. Now, I've explained in another video that there are different types of Ausbildung. There is schulische Ausbildung, and then there is the betriebliche Ausbildung. Schulische Ausbildung basically means school vocational training. So it's more school-based, it's more academic, more of schoolwork, and then you get to do practicals. Example of this are, for example, if you're doing nursing, and if you're not directly connected to like a hospital or a clinic or something, you can do a nursing Ausbildung, and then you go to like a nursing school most of the time. And then you also get like plans where it's like, okay, you're doing this hospital, then you have to do a practical at the hospital, then you have to do a practical at the clinic, then you have to do a practical at the ambulance station, stuff like that, right? Meanwhile, you are connected to one company. So let's say, for example, also a nursing hospital, but you applied directly to a hospital. So all your practical experiences you are going to get from this hospital directly and not from different health sectors. So putting that in mind, if you are doing your schulische Ausbildung, you are not going to get paid. You can apply for BAföG, which is like a student relief. So you also get funding from the government. And if you have a schulische Ausbildung and you're applying from outside of Germany, you might be requested to provide a block account, right? Now, this is a very slight difference because sometimes people mess this up. Meanwhile, if you are doing a betriebliche Ausbildung, it takes 3 years. On your 3 years contract, it states how much you'll be earning in your first year, in your second year, and in your third year. So you are basically employed as a lower worker by a company. You work for them, they teach you the job, and then you work for them, and you also get like your academic knowledge from a school that partners with the company. Now, I've explained in another video how to get an Ausbildung, where the school comes in, where the company comes in. I have tons and tons of video, and I still have a lot of information coming out about Ausbildung. So at this point, you might want to subscribe so you don't miss and turn on your notification bell. Yeah. So you earn while learning, which means when you are done, you don't have any student loan, you don't pay any tuition fee. If there is need for you to have any type of equipment or any type of stuff you need to like learn a particular trade or particular vocational training, it will be provided to you by the company. So the company is basically saying we are going to be responsible for your expenses to study this particular program for the next 3 years. And when you are done, most times the company takes over you as a full-time worker, which brings me to my next point. Doing an Ausbildung gives you direct access to the job market. Not only are you gaining experience in the first 3 years, you are also going to get a life contract most of the time from your company. Now, you need to understand these companies are not training you just for training's sake or for fun. They're actually training you to retain workers because obviously people are going to maternity leave, people are going to pension, people are leaving the company. So they kind of like have to build their future workers and keep the knowledge within the company. So that's also the necessity why there is an Ausbildung program in the first place. So these people train you to actually retain you after training. Now, it's not that they must retain you. Personally, when I did my Ausbildung, voluntarily left because I was not comfortable at the space anymore. And also it was just too far from me. And there's so many companies around my house that does the same thing. So there was no need for me to go to a company that is like 1 hour, 30 minutes away from my house, right? It makes sense to me. So the access you get to access the job market is also something people take for granted. Now, if you're doing a university degree, I'm not saying you don't have access to the job market. If you are a career starter, so you just have a bachelor and then afterwards you did a master and now you're in Germany looking for work, it's going to be difficult because no experience, there is just what you learned on paper. Fine and good. Sometimes you have practicals and stuff. The only way you can maneuver the situation is if you get a student job while doing your master's degree. Now, it makes sense not to just get any student job like working at a bar or working at a restaurant just to make ends meet. It makes sense to actually do something related to your field. So let's say, for instance, you are studying IT. It makes sense for you to work as a student for an IT company and not work as a student at McDonald's, for example, right? That's not the work experience. The work experience has to be relevant to your degree for it to count. So, yeah, that's already two positive side of why I would choose an Ausbildung over a university degree anytime, any day. Now, number 3 is your career progresses faster, you might want to argue. Personally, I think so. So when you're done with your Ausbildung, what people don't know is that it doesn't just end there. So it's not, oh, I've done a vocational training and that's it. No, you have done a vocational training. You can still not decide, okay, I want to study part-time to in a field that is related to this particular vocational training that I have done. And this is even more valuable because then you are going into the study with knowledge, you are going into the studies with information, and most of the times your company might even fund your studying as well. So it's a win-win situation in this space. So your career does not just end with, okay, I have a vocational training degree and that's it. No, you can still further your education, you can get a master, you can get a PhD, you can actually even become like a Ausbilder. So you are not the teacher that teaches what you were taught. Teacher that teaches what you were taught. I hope this is making sense. Now, number 4 is workplace integration. I think I kind of like mentioned this a bit already, but basically you are used to the workspace. Now, there is a work culture in Germany. People don't talk about it a lot, but there is a how to behave in the office, how not to behave in the office space, how to behave with your colleague, how to behave with your bosses, how to address situations, how to work in a team. These are skills that you just take with you over time while doing a vocational training program with any company. And sometimes it's quite underrated because now imagine you did a bachelor degree, you got a job, but you don't understand the German work culture. So you are most likely going to still lose that job earlier than you think. Not necessarily because of your knowledge. Sometimes you don't lose a job because you don't know how the work itself goes. Sometimes you lose the job because you don't just know how your environment around the job is supposed to function. Number 5, and my last point for today, is going to be lower stress and no debt when you're done. Ausbildung is considered less stressful, and because you don't pay for schooling, tuition, company, whatever, you actually don't pay for anything. You don't have any debt, like unlike students that have to pay for their master's degree, that has to pay for their university degree, and then you come out from uni and you're owing 40,000 euros, 50,000 euros, and have to work to pay for this. On top of that, it's even difficult for you to get into the job market because you don't have the work experience to back up your degree, right? So for me, Ausbildung is lesser stress. Who likes stress to begin with? And Ausbildung also opens door to financial freedom. So when you start working, your finances are actually for you and not for servicing a debt. Yeah, that was caused due to your study. Now, my tip and advice in general, a master's degree has a positive side, and personally, I respect master degree holder. I recently did my bachelor, and trust me, I was asking myself, how did I get here? What am I doing here? And I'm thinking into getting a master's degree, and I'm just like, I don't know. So when I see someone that has a master's degree or even a bachelor degree, I actually have so much respect for you. But when you're living in Germany, you should understand the market. If you're studying a course that is in high demand and that is also done in English, for example, because when you're doing your Ausbildung, you also learn in German. So you are also used to the language, you can communicate, you can write, you can attend to people in German language. Now, with most university studies, you can get away with it with just English language. So you have to make sure that, okay, what I'm studying is of relevance and I am not putting myself in any kind of barrier or whatsoever. So let's say your university degree is in English and you only also understand English, how possible is it for you to get an English job when you are done? Look into that. Don't just study something because, oh, it's good or it sounds good when you say I am so 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 and so. It sounds good when you are so 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 and so, but it doesn't sound good when you can't work with what you have suffered and labored for so many years. Research high in demand Ausbildung. In as much as I would advise anybody to go into Ausbildung, there are just some Ausbildung that don't have any future. I've done a video as well on this. Check it out. At this point, I'll pin my Ausbildung playlist in the description of this video. So just check out all the videos that I have done. Now, there are some Ausbildung that don't have a future. I don't know any at the top of my head, but there are some Ausbildung that is just don't do it. Don't do it. So research, check long term, check also in terms of like family work life balance, stuff like that, payments, and also check how usable it is outside of Germany. Now, it's one thing to do it on Ausbildung and get to work in Germany. It's another thing to do an Ausbildung and then life takes you elsewhere and you can't use it as well. So it doesn't make sense. Now, consider combining Ausbildung with evening studies. So there are programs that offers you Ausbildung with a bachelor degree. So instead of a 3 years course, you're doing it for 4 years, you're getting work experience, you don't have any debt. And then you're kind of like killing two birds with one stone. An extra year for your study just to have a second degree will cost you nothing. So check the program if it's combinable. Some companies offer it, some companies don't offer it. So this will mean a company has a vocational training school and also partners with a university that is kind of like infused to your vocational studies. Yeah, sounds complicated, but it's not that complicated, trust me. Now, lastly, network with companies. Try to get into LinkedIn, try to get into what was it called when you go for like job message, try to get contacts, try to ask people also around you that are working in companies, talk to their HR, and just try to see what company fits best. It's one thing to want an hospital. It's one thing to find a company that actually fits and work for you. Remember, if you're doing an hospital, you're most likely just getting into a job field or a career field. Now, after all my ranting and banting, I hope I'm being able to confuse you that an hospital is one way to get to success. I'm not. I hope I've been able to convince you that an Ausbildung is one way to get to success and not confuse you. Alright guys, too much talking. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye.